So today on Triple Shot Mindset, we're asking the question, what's the difference between giving from the heart versus giving from the mind? And as always, we each have our own unique perspective, which we will be sharing. But we'll be starting with our Lord and Savior, Artemis Christ. When you're ready.
Great question. Great question. I think we have choices with everything. We can wake up today and make it a great day. We can wake up today and make it not a good day. And I think when I got a divorce, I had a choice to choose calm and peace and love over chaos and anger and bitterness. When I deal with my, let's say, ex-wife, I know a lot of us get triggered. Maybe to this day, I still get triggered on certain little things. But I choose to show up as the loving, kind person who's understanding and wants to make sure things work out, not just for my kids' sake, but for my own sanity and peace of mind. So when I talk to people, I say, if you're dealing with an ex, for example, make sure to deal with it from a loving place, as much as they may want to throw chaos at you, they want to be mean, they want to be vindictive. You have that choice within you to choose peace and love. I'm not saying bury your head under the sand and become a victim. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying this to make sure that your energy doesn't dip, your frequency doesn't dip. Because once it does, it's easy to get tangled into that vortex of anger and all those stupid things that come with it. So when it comes to relationships, I say choose peace, choose kindness, choose love, even to your most fierce enemies. Fiercest? Thank you. Enemy, because ultimately you have to live with yourself. It's not what they take away from it. It's for you.
Absolutely. I love that.
Fiercest.
Yeah.
I don't know why I chose that word anyway.
I like it, though. It shows a warrior with a sword who wants to stab you.
Yes.
There's blood dripping.
Yes.
It's a little hostile. Like, it paints a good picture.
That's one of those words I need to figure out how to say. There's a few more other words that I mess up on a daily basis, which thank you for correcting me on those, but I need to learn those. Yeah, thank you.
You've done great. Kevin?
You're not the boss of me now. Can you repeat the question?
She was saying that in any situation, why choose love and peace over just doing something just because you have to?
Okay.
That, and also, if you care to teach us, what is the difference between giving from the heart versus giving from the mind?
Sure.
Because it can actually be a tricky little situation, if I may be so bold as to elaborate.
You're bold.
Very.
And italic.
And underline, occasionally. When we give from the mind, it's often with the expectation of recompense. That's the best way to catch it.
What?
Okay.
Return.
Return. What I've learned, Amanda and Artemis Christ, is that in work, I enjoy doing what I do, but sometimes it can get not so great. What I've learned, if we prioritize the why, which is not money, that's one why, but not the biggest why. If we make our biggest why helping somebody and doing it from the heart because we care, we want to see our client succeed, then it completely changes how you approach a project. If we're doing it with the mindset of, God, this idiot client, I need to get the project off my table and quickly launch it. What goes into it is anger, resentment, dislike, doing it for the wrong reasons. But I've learned if you do it from the heart because you love people, you love to help, you realize the universe has given you a gift and they've come to you because they value your gift. And just sit down there, do your work with the intent to make people happy. It goes by so much smoother and you really enjoy that journey. Wow. Thank you. And I was going to say, when you're editing this, please put the slow piano. Ding, 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 ding.
Well, I don't add the music. That would be Artie.
Thank you.
But we'll give that over to him.
It seems like, just spitballing here, it seems like I'm on crack when we do these podcasts. Like I'm like, blah, 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 blah. Kevin looks like he's on weed. Like,
oh man, no.
Doesn't it seem like
no,
that?
It's true. You're totally different, diametrically opposed vibrations.
Yeah, man.
That's beautiful.
What about you, Amanda? Dear, what do you think about this whole thing?
Well, thank you for asking,
You're welcome.
Kevin Christ.
Casey.
Casey, what do I think? That's a great question. I think it all has to start with self-love, which is the way Celine Dion pronounces love.
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 Is she Irish?
No, she's French, Canadian. Bless her heart, Celine. I love you. It has to start with self-love, because whether we're giving from the mind or the heart, it's really easy to be vindictive and frustrated when we're running low on our reserves. If I'm at 10%, no amount of good intention is going to make me do a good job or give good anything, ever. So if I can give to myself first and give that same loving, compassionate approach that we would give to clients, friends, family, strangers, enemies, if I can extend that to myself first, then I know I have much higher chances of giving from the heart. I do think there's value in giving from the mind too, though. There are certain instances in life, actually I believe that all instances are transactional, and I'm not shy about acknowledging that, even in relationships. I don't believe in unconditional love. I think that's something nature and spirit can provide. Occasionally we can tap into it on a really good day, but we're responsible for a finite piece of flesh. And if we don't ensure that it's well taken care of and that we're giving appropriately without over-giving, we will spiral into a shitty situation. So I do think giving from the mind is valuable too. Yes, we do love our clients. They're phenomenal. If you're watching, bless you. However, we need to be paid for our work. We need to be treated with respect. We need to attract the type of clients who give us that fundamental amount of respect, and it all comes from the mind. Standards set by the mind. Otherwise, we're Mother Teresa. Now, I don't know what Mother Teresa's bank account was like, and maybe because she was such a saint, no one had to pay her anything. Maybe they just housed her because they were like, you're cool, mama, like roll in. But I am not Mother Teresa. Nobody houses me for free. Nobody feeds me for free. Everything is a transaction. So I think the mind does have to rule the heart to a certain extent to ensure that we can give well and give safely and give truly when the time comes.
Yeah. I love your POV.
Thank you.
Okay. What I'm saying is, I think me and you disagree a little bit about the unconditional love aspect of things.
Yeah.
Because if I were to do things out of expectation of a return, then I'm not doing it for the right reasons. From a client perspective, that's different. Obviously, a client needs to pay you and respect you and appreciate you for what you're doing in return in that exchange of money. But I think in a case of a relationship, there's a place within me that's very soul-centric. And when I do things for them, it comes from the soul and it bypasses my mind. Now, if someone points out to me that, hey, listen, this brother or mother or father or ex or whatever is taking advantage of that kindness, then it has to filter through the mind. But if it's doing for people who have not done me wrong, or for those who I have forgiven, then it kind of bypasses the mind a little bit. Maybe it touches upon it for a quick second, like yes or no, and it's just a yes or no. Should I help this person? Should I be understanding with this person? Yep. And then it goes into the heart. Not to say it goes in there and just, takes a trip around 20 times and finds reasons why I shouldn't be kind or nice. But for people who have shown me at least a good soul connection, or people who have had a history with, and I know they're not bad people deep down, then that trip to the mind is just a one quick second.
But a trip nonetheless, right?
It's a trip nonetheless, you're right. But it's just a yes-no filter. It's no, well, what if I do this, and then she does this, and then she doesn't appreciate me, and 2 years from now, she's going to dump me. It doesn't go through that.
Well, it doesn't need to be like that. That's intense. Do you do that with anybody in your life?
I used to.
Who?
Many people, a lot of people. But I don't do that anymore because it's very taxing on the brain and everything.
I would never suggest going that far under any circumstance, because that's pulling the puppet strings and that's trying to control. And that's not what I'm referring to. Instead, I say the check-in for the mind is more like, do I have the capacity to give this right now? Mm-hmm. And if I don't, I got to shut that shit down real quick. Even if you give from a good intention, other people can sense it when you're tired, when you're drained, when you're frustrated, when you're not grounded. And it actually comes across as a nasty thing. You might be giving with the best intentions, and I've received from a lot of people who would claim that it was the best intentions. Mm-hmm. Really, it's what they think they have to do, or they think they're supposed to do. They think they need to do. And that does have a flavor to it that I don't like to savor.
I do agree with the overall concept, but I think on a smaller level, let's say today I only have 10% to give. And that, to me, that's my 100% that day. Even if I choose to give 5% to, let's say, someone, just to put a smile on my face or be kind about something, I think it makes a world of a difference, because in a trajectory-wise kind of a scenario, that missed smile, that anger, that burst of like anger, whatever it may come out as, that will eventually start growing and growing and growing 2 years from now, 5 years from now, and it could affect that relationship. So before I think to myself, if me giving to someone, even up here, is going to disrupt that peace or disrupt that relationship or create some kind of resentment 5 years down the line, I'd still rather give with here, and I'll deal with the other stuff later about myself.
Interesting. Can you give me a practical example?
Let's say my brother does me wrong and he's in a bad mood for 5 days and he's not being nice to me. And he says, hey,
Science fiction.
This could never happen.
well, remember if a few years ago or 2 years ago, you were really pissed off at me for the way I characterized you and certain things you like to do. Remember that part that you got out of the car in the freeway?
Yeah. It was in the freeway, dude.
It was on the
off-ramp.
Off-ramp. Still part of the freeway system.
That's true.
And so in that moment, I thought to myself, well, screw him. You know, fuck, he's going to find an Uber and find his way back to the office or whatever. But inside of me said, let me be kind. As much as I'm angry at him, as much as I'm resentful, as much as I dislike him at this moment, if I show him kindness and love and just keep my mouth shut in that moment of volatility or whatever it's called, I'm going to make a difference in that path that me and him are walking together. It could be like this, and I can bring it back. So for me to give to him, I went by Best Buy, I think that's where he was. I said, I'm sorry, my bad. Get in the car, let's go.
But it didn't. I kept walking.
Yeah, he went past the Moe's Deli. And then I found him.
It would leapfrog like the next block until we caught up to
But my point was I have to give from here, not calculate what's in here. Because the more I calculate, the more I'm going to find my ego to be right.
That's a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that. Because obviously it
We
sorted
know it.
itself out, because here we are.
Obviously we know it.
I wasn't thinking in terms of conflict. And I will say this, when it comes to giving, I don't believe that it takes percentage points to be kind. I don't believe that kindness is something that depletes from the cup. Kindness is a way of being. So you can kindly pick someone up off the street, but not re-engage in the conflict with them, not go back into the details with them, not even go back into subservient mode and say, okay, whatever you say is right. I don't think kindness subtracts from the 10%. You can be kind in your way of being always, whether you're 1% or 100%. What I'm referring to when I say giving is giving service, giving time, giving energy, giving conversation, giving thought power. So to your point, I agree. Kindness is free. It doesn't deplete. For me, I like to try, unsuccessfully, I will add, but it is a goal. It's a value to be kind in all my dealings, because that doesn't cost me anything. So I'm 100% with you on that.
Yeah.
You referenced work, where people have to respect us, care about us, respect our time, everything. My point was not specifically focused on the business side of things, which, yes, before we take on a client, they have to respect us. They have to love us. They have to,
They don't have to love us, but they have to respect us.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, once we're past the business end and we actually have a project in front of us and we like the client, it should not be about, let me fucking quickly do this and get it over with. It should be about, they invested in me, they trust in me. We are the hope that they've been looking for. Kind of like what Obama would say, hope, Michelle. So to bring it together, I do it from the heart. Even though some people piss me off, you just got to realize that that's part of the journey. Some people may not like the first iteration of your logo design, and you should be okay and live with that. Say, you know what? Okay. I just want to say that when you, and this is what my wonderful, smart brother said this morning.
There's no hope with dope.
Well, beyond that, he said that when you do the work from the heart, the project goes by without stress, because anything that happens along the way, it's just, oh, okay, no worries. I got this, helping, achieving. The other way is always stressful to you and puts you in a place that At night you can't sleep. It reduces your lifespan, makes you go home and throw plates at your significant other.
Yeah.
So,
Are you guys Greek?
nope. No.
Opa.
But we do like hummus. In all seriousness, when you do it with the heart, you have nothing to regret.
That's so true. And I've learned in these few short years that I've been on earth, I often look back at things I did out of not the heart and regret that I didn't. But when I was kind, even when I didn't want to be, I was going through what you said, that cycle of, well, they owe me this and I shouldn't do that. And if I did this, then it wouldn't be that way, blah, 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 blah. When I'm kind anyway, in spite of that narrative, I'm always grateful that I was. The future will roll around and I'll be like, thank God, Amanda. That was a good call. So even strategically, kindness is superior to bitter shit.
That's so profound.
Isn't it?
That's so profound. I choose to be kind even the days I don't have kindness in me. Or maybe I do, it's just depleted. I choose to give even though I may not have enough to give. I choose to support even though I may not be able to support. But I do it from not a ego perspective to gain points. I do it because doing for me is loving on different levels. And it's being true to my source and to my soul. So if my soul is a giving, forgiving, loving entity, I don't want that of my brain and ego to shadow that or overshadow that into something that it's not.
I've taught you well.
That is so beautiful. And I think that that's so good, especially on paper. But you're not just a soul. You're a body. You're a body with physical needs, emotional needs. So as your self-love guide, I have to ask you, when do you draw the line and say, I'm not an unconditional giving machine? There's only one group of people that you can be unconditionally loving to, I believe, and I don't think, by default, I don't think it's even guaranteed, and that's your children. Beyond that, how do you then determine when to draw boundaries and when incompatibility is going to force you to shut things down? Because wait, if it's true that you're just an ever-loving love machine who can just go on and on, then you'd never break up any relationship. You'd never leave any job. You'd never stop any friendship. You would just give till death.
I think appreciation would be my first testing marker or whatever it's called.
So then you admit it is a transaction.
Well, if I give to someone who doesn't appreciate, who doesn't receive it well, then obviously I'm not going to pour into that empty well.
Now we're cooking with gasolina.
If let's say Kevin or you or someone else needs something and I'm constantly giving and after a while it becomes an obligation.
Got it.
They
So
don't
it isn't
appreciate.
unconditional. It's for appreciation. And there's nothing wrong with that.
I don't know if I'm doing it for my ego, because to me when I feel like someone says I'm doing it for appreciation, it's trying to normalize it in my head so that my ego is being fed what it needs to be fed.
But it's not wrong to have an ego. The divine gave you an ego. It's called your body. If you were meant to be just a soul, you'd be in the fifth dimension like, woo, souling it out. You're here with a body that you have to defend. If you don't, nobody's going to take care of it for you.
I think I will defend, but when I say unconditional, it means I will give unconditionally to people who need me, who ask for things. I will give, but I'm not going to give limitlessly. I will give to a point that I know I'm being appreciated and it's being accepted well. If I keep giving to you, let's say...
Well, that's a condition, though. 2 conditions. And that's okay.
So mine is, the condition is going to come later on, let's say a year down the line.
So when you hit a wall and you're running on empty and you realize that you've overgiven...
Yes.
And you haven't gotten what you needed back.
Right.
So you've been doing one-sided transactions.
I don't think... But I don't do things like I don't love someone because they're going to love me back. I don't give to someone because I think they're going to give me back.
Not at first.
But if you see that they're being indifferent, let's say, to my giving ways, to my kind ways, to my love, and they're just, whatever, then I'm saying, okay, well, I'm going to give it to someone who's actually going to appreciate it and needs it.
Yeah, exactly. You go somewhere where your services are valued and your transaction holds value. That's my entire point in a nutshell.
Yeah, the transaction holding value, that I agree. But transactional in the sense of like, I give you 5 back rubs and you give me 5 back rubs.
Why not? What's wrong with that? If you establish the transaction from day one, you don't have to hit bottom a year or 2 or 3 later and go, oh shit, I invested 100,000 points in you and I got nothing. And I kept investing in good faith, thinking you're going to repay my transaction when I need you. And then when I need you, you're not there. Boom, bam, everything explodes.
By the moment, I'm not thinking that I'm going to give 100,000
Points.
goodie points,
Yeah.
and I'm going to get 50,000 or 100,000 goodie points back.
And I'm thinking maybe you should start thinking like that.
Maybe I should.
I invite you to begin thinking right from the get-go because you're worth it. And because what you give is of such value. To invest it into the void, not sure if it's going to be received or if they're going to appreciate you appropriately at the right time, is taking a huge leap. Huge leap. You can only do that when you have excess to invest. But I think most of us in this reality are like level right now. I don't have excess energy to invest in things that don't give me what I need. Where would you get it from?
So I give just to give in the beginning. Let's say the first year. Just that's a mile marker.
Uh-huh.
And if in that 1 year I get anything back, great. If I don't, at one point before the 1 year mark, I'm going to start realizing I'm giving so much, I'm not getting anything back in return. Maybe it's time for me to let off the gas. Give that attention or love or whatever it is to someone else who may appreciate it more or need it more. Now, transactionally, if I give, let's say, 2 massages and I don't get $50 back from it the same day, it's not going to raise a red flag in my head.
Well, did you want $50 from it?
I'm just saying the point system.
Well, in order to understand the transaction, we have to understand what's being traded. So you may give 2 massages and then say, okay, I've deposited a certain amount of goodwill and leniency. I think that's what you trade in. I think you trade in goodwill and leniency. So you give with the expectation and hope that when you need goodwill and leniency, they will give it to you and say, I totally understand. Whatever you're going through, I got you. That's what you hope for. That's such a difficult thing to trade, though, because it's not guaranteed and they don't show it right up front. So I'm inviting you to consider, maybe I change my transaction. I give 2 back rubs, and next week when I need to take a weekend off from seeing you, you give me complete leniency. Not a single issue. If I notice one single issue, I just cancel out those back rubs. I see now that what I give, I'm not getting back. You see what I mean? Instead of pushing it so far into the distance as this thing, it's not defined. It's very much a vibe. You don't know, like you're moving through the fog here. Why not just say, right up front, baby, this is what I need. You're not an unconditional giving machine.
May I?
Please.
Thank you very much. A giver like me, like my brother, like you. I can only speak for myself. When I give unconditionally, and I'm doing air quotes, I do it because I love, I care. And then there's a point that the person you give to gets used to it. And when they get used to it, it loses its pleasure of giving because now it becomes an expectation. And I think that's when this whole thing turns. So to your point, which you're really right on this one, if you set the expectations from the get-go, you give and then you expect them to give back. If you don't do that, it's going to become a sick relationship that will spiral out of control and eventually falls apart. Yeah. I've seen it many times. In college, I would buy this guy Gatorade all the time after basketball, every day. And then there was a time that we go to the cafeteria. I don't have my wallet with me, and I put a Gatorade on his tray. He's like, dude, I'm not going to pay for this one. And then you realize you get people used to something. Mm-hmm. And then they just expect it. Now it's such a weird concept that now I have to pay for you once. Mm-hmm. So in the grand scheme of things, it's good to be kind. In a perfect world where there's no egos, there's no weirdness of people would appreciate, if it was a mathematical equation that yes, you do, therefore they love and appreciate. You do, they love, appreciate. You do. The world is not mathematics. People get used to it. It goes the other way completely and it just backfires. And in 2 years from now, you look at yourself, you're like, you know what? I shouldn't have done that. Mm-hmm. I wish I could take it back and made it an even playing field, 50-50 from the get-go.
Exactly. I also feel, because that's beautifully illustrated, kindness doesn't need to be backed up with an investment. I find that kindness is more a way of being than an actual depleting of your resources. Now you're not giving free Gatorades anymore, but let's say an example in lieu of that. Someone calls you a prospective client and they sound like they're going to be tricky. If we think that kindness is an action that you have to do, we would say, okay, I'll take you on even though you're going to be a pain in my ass for the next 5 years.
Wow, you bleeped yourself out.
And that was kind of cool, right? Because it looked like the audio did it. But my perspective of kindness is it doesn't have to be that, because that still takes from you. Kindness, I think, is free, meaning, you know what? I don't feel like we're a match. I wish you all the luck in the world.
I will recommend you to some of my colleagues in another company, but I can't take you on at this time. That could be kindness. It's a way of being instead of a way of extending yourself beyond what you have to give.
All right, as you two knuckleheads are talking, I have to kind of change my viewpoint a little bit.
Ooh.
Okay. I think you guys are right. There has to be a point of appreciation and reciprocation
From the get-go.
Yes, the beginning.
Yes, not wait a year and then just dig yourself into a hole deeper and deeper, and then other people can just look down at you. You're right. What I would then, in my head, do is keep an eye out in the first few days, few weeks, couple of months, as to see how my kindness is going over. If it's being appreciated and reciprocated and given back, I will continue. But if it's not, then I have to kindly bow out or just hold it out for the next person who will appreciate it.
Triple Shot Mindset.